Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I'm Lisa, I'm from Robertson in South Africa, and I've been teaching students from all over the world for quite a few years now. Today's webinar is all about the grammar assignment for level 5. So it is about level 5 assignment B. That's what today's webinar is all about. So welcome. We will go through things in detail and have a huge long section with questions and answers where we can go through all your questions. You're welcome to say hi in the chat and say where you are from. All right, great. I'm talking too fast. All right. So this webinar today, we are only going to talk about this specific assignment. If you have questions about other assignments, please send a ticket to tutor support and they will help you with that. So if you are working on this assignment, this is a great opportunity to like iron out any problems. So hi, I see people from London, Australia, Senegal, and Mississippi. So hi and welcome. Great. And also another one from the US. All right, excellent. So we will chat after half an hour. So first we'll go through all of the slides and from SA as well, another one from SA. South Africa, for those of you who don't know. All right. Great. I'll continue chatting to everyone shortly, but let's just jump off. All right. So assignment B serves as an assessment of the following: your ability to create a grammar lesson using the PPP form. So that is the core of this assignment. Your understanding of MFP, which is, anyone who would like to say what MFP is, you can put it in the chat. It's a test. All right. And we'll come to that. And eliciting and concept checking. So that is to ask questions from the students so that you don't just tell them what's going on. And this assignment deals a lot with those specific questions. Eliciting and concept checking questions. All right. Excellent. So, as you know, if you have already started this assignment, the whole assignment is on the first conditional form. Okay, and just while I'm here, the first conditional is not a tense. The first conditional is made up of two tenses. Lovely, Jane, meaning, form, and pronunciation. Thank you. That is the MFP. I did know. Just checking that you all know. All right, so MFP is meaning, form, and pronunciation. So that is part of this assignment as well. So the first conditional, here is an example of the first conditional. If it is hot tomorrow, I'll go to the beach. All right, so there are a few conditionals. There are 4 well-known ones that I can think of offhand, and they are all slightly different. They are made up of if, and so they have that in common, but the first conditional is a very specific one. And you need to know that before you even start. So the first conditional, if it is hot tomorrow, I will go to the beach. Just note, as I said that, that's not how one would say it normally. That is how one would say it if you were teaching it. So it uses if and will because it deals with the future. And before you even start, research the meaning, form, pronunciation, work. What is it? If you've ever taught it, it's quite tricky. I listened today and was teaching it. One does. So you really need to know, because the zero conditional, second conditional, third conditional are all different. And you need to know that your assignment is about the first conditional. So go and do a bit of research. Google will help you. And you can see and know. All right. So before you even start, there are certain documents that you need to download. All right. So template 1 that you will work on and then resubmit, not resubmit. You will work on it and submit it. So template 1 is made up of sections. So the first section is called the PPP grammar table, which we'll go into in detail in a moment. So that's the first section. Then the lesson plan, then the teacher language document, and then the bibliography. So all 4 of those are on or in template 1. So template 1 is the main section of this assignment. Template 2 is the materials. So when we say materials, sometimes people say like pens and chalk and whiteboards. That's not really what we're talking about here. So the materials are the things that you're going to use in your class. The materials are your worksheets or pictures or photos or prompts. So the materials are all the things, that's why you call it materials, the things that you, oh, my hat. I don't know, my camera's just disappeared. There, I'm back. I don't know why that happened. How weird. I'm back. All right. So I'll carry on with materials. So the materials are worksheets and pictures and all the things that you will use in your class. And we'll go into that as well, what you need from your materials. Okay, excellent. So more documents to download. So those are the ones that you're going to download that you will work on and then submit. There are a whole bunch of extra ones that are information for you. So you will download as well a model assignment file. So the model assignment shows you exactly how your assignment should look, except it is on a different form. It's on a different subject. Don't get confused. The model assignment is about the present perfect, which has nothing to do with the first conditional. So don't get confused. It just shows you what you need to include and how you need to include it and how it plots the whole lesson for you. So it's great because it shows you what you need to do, but don't get confused. The model assignment has nothing to do with the first conditional, and your assignment must have everything to do with the first conditional. Just don't get that confused. Yes, so it says use the model as a guide only. All right. So you download that model assignment to show you what to do, and then the assignment template that we just mentioned before with the PPP, the lesson plan, and the bibliography, and the materials template. So it's actually a template. It's a page that you download, and then you stick all your stuff onto that page, onto the materials template, and submit that as well with all of the materials. I say stuck. I'm thinking so old school, but copied and pasted onto that template. All right. So now we're going to speak a little bit more. I sure did get confused about that. I think that is about the model assignment. It is confusing, so don't get confused. It's just to show you this is how your assignment must appear. It must look like this, but not the same topic. So thanks, Laurie. I know I mark assignments, and so many have got little aspects of the present perfect in amongst the other topic. It's like, no. So don't be confused. Don't be confused. That is just to show you how it works, but this whole assignment is on the first conditional. All right, now we're going to go into a little bit more detail about the PPP grammar table, which is, it's all laid out for you. It's a little table with blocks. So it serves as a summary of your lesson. So it's also a summary of your knowledge of the meaning, form, pronunciation of the target language. You need to fill in every category. A lot of it has been filled in for you. And then there's some where it says you must fill in this part, you must fill in this part. So just make sure that you fill in every single section. Every category needs to be filled in. So for instance, one says, where are your students from? So pick a country. They can be, sometimes I get the feeling people already have taught. So they say they are Italian from Italy, or they are Italian and they speak Italian, or they are South African and they speak Afrikaans, or they are obviously many other. So you need to decide who your students are, what country they're from, and what language they speak. On occasion, there have been people as well who say they are from Canada and they speak English. That is not helpful, because you are making a lesson for second language students who speak English as a second or foreign language. So they must not speak English as a first language, your students. They must speak any other language in the world other than English as their first language. All right. So the PPP table relates exactly to your lesson and to the first conditional. All right. Also, make sure that everything you say in this section lines up with what you say in the other sections, because it's one lesson that you are planning. So everything is for the same lesson. Everything must be for the same. Okay. Then in your PPP table, you need to include a timeline, which is just a little diagram. Sometimes people draw it and stick it in. That's fine. You can actually make one in Word with that and X's. So it's possible, but you have to show a timeline. The timeline is to show where in space the first conditional occurs. So it's not a timetable. Sometimes they get timetables, and sometimes people go like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's also not that helpful. It just needs to show that there are two clauses in the first conditional and one happens after the other. And basically, they both happen in the future because neither of them have happened yet. So if you say, if I study, I will pass, you haven't studied yet. So it hasn't happened yet. So it's not actually in the present tense. It's just a clue. I've marked quite a few assignments of this. So neither of the clauses has actually occurred yet. So they are both potentially going to happen in the future. So make sure that your timeline shows that. I'm a bit of a stickler for this one. All right. Then that goes into the most detailed section of your assignment, the lesson plan, which includes the details of your lesson. So it's laid out for you. It's a table. So you need to fill things in that way. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And again, some of the stuff has been filled in for you. Leave it there. The parts that are filled in must stay there. They must just stay. All right. I'm going to go up to the PPP table. I'm going to quickly go back to one thing. Oh, we're there. There's a section in the PPP table that says materials. All right. You describe your materials in that section. The PPP table where it says materials, it's to describe them. So you'll say pictures of the weather to show that in the warmer. Then you'll say a gap full worksheet for the controlled practice. And then you'll say prompt cards for the freer practice. You just describe them on the PPP table where it says materials. You don't need to stick your materials in to the PPP table because they won't fit. Someone was very cross and said that they couldn't resize that and fit their materials there because your materials are not supposed to go there. You just describe them in that section. Your materials, and we will again come back to it in a moment, must go on the whole. They get their own submission and their own template. And they submit it. When you submit two things: your main submission and the materials. So there are two things you must submit, and all the materials must go into the materials section. Okay. This is also something that happens quite frequently in submissions, that there is no material section. And people have tried to stick it in to that little section in the PPP table. I'm really telling you all the things that a lot of people do incorrectly. So I'm preventing mistakes from ever happening. Okay, and I've got one little thing. How about, I will get to all of these questions. Actually, others I get distracted. We will go through questions. All of the ones you're putting up now, we will go through shortly. All right, so we are still talking about the lesson plan. And I'll get to that as well. Okay, so the lesson plan includes, so Aims, that is one section. Objectives, assumed knowledge, anticipated problems. That's actually part of the top part. It's just about, actually, where I say the materials, it's in the top part of the lesson plan. It's underneath the PPP table. All right, then the stages, the stage aim, the timing, interaction, teacher activity, student activity, and the paragraph. The paragraph is just a small section where you say why did you choose to use this topic? Why did you choose to use this material? So it's just a little, it tells you how many words as well. It's just a small section where you justify why you've picked what you've picked for your lesson. Okay. So in the lesson plan, the PPP, like the PPP table and the PPP lesson plan. So the PPP is the three main phases. So presentation, practice, and produce. And then there are two extras. So there are three main sections, plus one before and one after. So the first one is called the warmer, which is the warm-up introduction stage. Then the presentation, which in the assignment, you do not complete this on the lesson plan. It tells you why and shows where you must add it in. Practice, so practice is also called the controlled practice. So that is where you will use worksheets. That's what the controlled practice stage is about. Produce or production or freer practice is where the students have the opportunity to use the language freely and to speak. So it's fluency, and where the students get the opportunity to talk and speak. That is the produce stage. And the plenary is your wrap up. So it's where you make sure everyone has understood and you go through the information again. That is the plenary. It happens to also start with P and a P. So you've got the PPP and then the plenary. So then your next section is the teacher language section, which comes right below the paragraph. And this is about, okay, so before we even start, the teacher language section needs to be like a script. You are writing a short script for 3 sections. It's for the, needs to be a script for a section of your presentation stage. That's why it says in the lesson plan, don't fill it in here. It's because the teacher language is the part that are the details for the presentation stage. So it needs to be like a script. So it's all in direct speech, and you must write what the teacher would say and what your imagined students might say. And then there are 3 sections in that. So the first section is, this is to test how you would elicit. The model sentence is the first section. The second section is to elicit the form of the first conditional. And the third section in the teacher language section is concept checking. So just to ask the main important questions to check that the students understand what you are talking about. All right. That's me not reading, just trying to explain it. So ask simple graded questions using your warmer's context to elicit the model sentence. So the context is very, very important as well. And this is often where people get a little bit lost. Remember, it is the first conditional. So one of the main things, it's about real things. It's about real events. So for instance, winning the lottery is not a good topic for this, because it's not that likely. So like meeting aliens, also not good. Finding buried treasure. These are not great topics. Look for something that's real. So one of the most useful ones, if I study, I will pass. If it's sunny, I will go to the beach. I mean, obviously it sounds boring, but you can make these ones very exciting. Just make sure it's about something real. Then you use that context. So now we're talking about studying. And then when you get to the teacher language section, you'll speak about, so who has studied for the English test, and that will be where your script starts. Okay, so you get students to gradually piece together the model sentence in the first section. And then in the second section, they will gradually piece together the form. So what can the sentence start with? When? Oh, sort of, yes. If, yes, it starts with if. What is the next word? So you pick through it word by word how the students would discover how the first conditional works. And again, use your model sentence that you used in the PPP table and that you then elicit in the beginning of the teacher language section. So make sure as well that your model sentence is the same in the PPP table and here. It's the same topic that you start in the warmer and the same model sentence that you use in the teacher language section and also on your PPP table. So make sure it's the same one. So if I study, I will pass, that is your sentence. That is your beginning sentence. And it's easier for you. And if you were teaching, it would also be easier that the students can see, okay, here's the plot from one thing to the next. All right. Remember to grade your language. So it is B, I'm lost. Is it B1 or B2? B1 students. B2. Oh, I'm suddenly lost. It says at the beginning of the assignment. So just make sure that you grade your language to the level of the students. Oh, I've just had a blank there. Okay. And reduce your teacher talking time. So you've got PPPs, TTTs, all of these things. So just remember so that even in your script, let your students talk more. And then in the freer practice stage, the students can talk more, etc. Okay, here's the third section in the teacher language stage, teacher language section, concept check. So understanding of the function. Okay, assessed with concept questions. So sometimes people also get quite stuck in the subject matter that they're talking about. So they're like, so if it's rainy, can we go out? No. If it's sunny, can we go to the beach? Yes. If the weather changes, what will we do? Okay, that's lovely when you are going through it initially, but those kind of questions that are about the subject matter don't really relate to the meaning of the first conditional. So meaningful questions would be, do the clauses happen in the present or the future? Can one happen without the other? Are we talking about real events or unreal events? Is it possible? So those are the kind of questions you need to be asking. Don't get stuck in your subject matter. And can they really go to the concert if it's raining? Because that could also be, just don't get stuck in your subject matter. Get stuck into the meaning. So 2 events, both likely and possible. And the second event depends on the first. And they probably will both happen in the future, although you're not sure. Because if the first one doesn't happen, the second one doesn't either. So those are the questions you need to be focused on. All right, back to materials. So bugbear. I do mark a lot of assignments, and frequently you'll have to resubmit your assignment because you didn't include the materials. So you beautifully say in the controlled practice stage, you say students will fill in, the students will do the gap fill worksheets, but you haven't included the gap fill worksheets. You will have to resubmit your assignment if you don't include the materials. So in the separate materials template submission, you copy and paste the materials. Okay. The actual ones, so the hard copies, not links or URLs. And then also remember to reference all the materials in the bibliography section. And if you've made them yourself, that's also cool. All right. But you have to include everything that you mention that you use in the assignment. You must really actually include. You can't just talk about it and then not include it. You have to actually put it in. All of the prompts. If you say the students will have cards, then you must make copies of the cards. I mean, obviously, you have to print it out, but you have to just stick it onto that page. All right. And your bibliography include reference for all the materials and everything that you learned from. Use a referencing guide on the site, so it does actually tell you exactly how you need to reference it, and don't only provide just the links as references. That does tell you very helpfully how you need to reference everything. All right, back to the copy leaks, AI and plagiarism checks. Okay, so you know that the maximum allowable score is 30% on your main submission. There's leeway on your materials submission. Another reason to make sure that you submit all the materials separately is because the materials, if it's 65%, it's fine because you've copied and pasted or got it from online. That's fine. So the materials submission can be higher than 30%, but the main submission must be lower than 30%. 30% or lower. All right. So we've got to the end of that. I feel quite hoarse from all of that. Just so you know, all of the previous webinars are also available on the TEFL Academy YouTube channel. So if you go onto the TEFL Academy YouTube channel and sign up, join, subscribe. I'm so old, you see, that's not the word that came to me first. There are different, I have even done this webinar before. So there are quite a few versions of this and of the L5B assignment webinar. And they're actually very useful because although it's the same topic, the questions go in so many different directions that they're all quite useful if you'd like to. And if you have any further questions, please send a ticket to tutor support. All right, and now we go into the Q&A section. All right, so I saw some questions above before. So hi guys, Glenda from SA, from London, Joburg, Philippines. All right, if your student is Filipino, that is absolutely perfect. Okay, let's have a look at this. On the template, the materials section is in section 2. It is section 2. Section 1 is the main submission that's got the PPP table and the lesson plan and the paragraph and the teacher language and the bibliography is section 1. And section 2 is the materials template, which needs to contain all your materials, put them into that. Using such old-fashioned terminology, but you need to like stick them into that as if it was an envelope, and then you put all the assignments into that envelope. Okay. Footnoting my photos on my materials sheet. Is this enough, or should I also include the footnote references in the bibliography? I would. I mean, you can, but then just that it doesn't have to be quite as detailed in the bibliography. You can say all of the footnotes were from this. I got the worksheet from this place. So I would put everything in the bibliography just to make sure. All right. What about the model template? Do we need to answer it? No, you do not need to answer. The model template is there to show you. It's like how your assignment must look, but you don't need to submit that. It's like just to show you this is sort of how it must look. So you must fill these bits in. You must include this kind of thing. It's just an example so that you know what your one must look like. But it is nothing to do, like the topic and the grammar is nothing to do with it, and you don't have to do anything with it. It's just to show you. Okay. I know that it's supposed to be helpful, and it is, because if you look at it and read it through carefully, you can see, oh, I don't need to like write 100 words. I need to write 10 words. So it sort of shows you how much and where you must do things. But it has nothing to do with the assignment that you are going to write. All right. research online, so I have to include the websites in my bibliography. I haven't used quotes directly. I would, because if you learned something, then reference them. Because if they didn't exist, then you wouldn't have learned that. So yes, I would reference, even if you go, I got ideas from here. You know, it doesn't have to be detailed, but I would reference all of them. Okay. I watched the previous webinar on some PDF. I'm not entirely sure what you mean there. PDF. Let me see, Rachel. I'm seeing the template. Okay, this is related to your question before. Section 2. Yes, okay. So once you have, all right, I understand what you're saying. Okay, so you have your template for the materials. I think of it as a piece of paper because it looks like a piece of paper. Then you stick everything onto that. You copy and paste, and all your pictures and your worksheets, and it's all stuck onto that. And then you need to, I think you can stick PDFs on. You could just copy and paste it, or even a screenshot, and then save that also as a PDF. Before you submit it, needs to be a PDF. I hope that has answered your question. All right. Where are we now? Okay, Rachel, again. Ask for worksheet material. Yes, the last section. So they can be PDFs. You just stick them on, copy, paste, stick. All right. Next to where it says 12 students. I'll come back to that. Where it says 12 students. It says 12 students quite often. The material section is its own little section. So there's nothing really written on that, except it says you must include all the materials, and there mustn't be URLs or links. You must copy them onto this. So that is where you must put your materials. So actually, yes, all right. I see next to where you said, okay, this is exact. I actually mentioned this. So where it says materials in that part, it is underneath. So there's PPP table, and then underneath that it's lesson plan, and that says 12 students, and it says where they're from. There's a section that says materials on the bottom right-hand corner. That is not where you stick the materials. That is where you say worksheet and photos. Where you stick all the materials is on the separate, all on its own material submission. As I said in the beginning, you're going to download 2 submissions. You've got the main submission and the material submission. So main submission's got all the stuff in it. Material submission, it's its own little page, big page. That's where it all goes. And then when you send your assignment in, you send it in as 2 pages, 2 submissions. All right. When is the deadline for this assignment? Each and every one of you will have your own deadline. So you need to have a look at when you started your course. And you will have your own deadline. So it's not and everyone has the same deadline. Each person will have their own deadline. On the last webinar, the presenter said PDFs were included. I'm not 100%. Okay, on the main template section, lesson plan. The main template section 2. Yes, okay. Lesson plan, form, and paragraph. On the main template section, lesson plan, form, and paragraph. There is a little section that says materials. That is not where you stick your material in the main template section. That's not where you stick your material. You stick your materials in their own materials template. Not in the lesson plan, form, and paragraph. That is where you can say what you are going to include in the main material submission, but you don't stick them into the lesson plan, form, and paragraph. All right. Thank you. So if anyone has more questions, Rachel, you got it. I know it's confusing. It seems the people who have made the assignment have tried very hard to make it clear. But I think in doing so and in explaining it so many times, it can get a bit confusing. So Rachel, I hope you have got it. Thank you. Because it is confusing, and so many people have done that. So I know that it is confusing because so many people have done it. So as I say, it's two things. You download the two at the beginning. You put all your PPP table, PP lesson plan form and paragraph is next, then the lesson plan itself, then the paragraph, and then the teacher language section, and then the bibliography. That is all on the one. I'm using so many hand gestures as if I'm Italian, and I'm not. So that is all on the main submission. And then all the materials are on the other second submission that you put them all there. Hi, Laurie. What a lovely, thanks. Helpful to be early birthday present. Happy birthday. Happy 57th birthday. Hope you have a great day. I'm going to say as well, happy Easter to everyone since it's Easter weekend. And thank you for joining us. All right, here we go again. So the assignment is only two, which is the main template and material template. Yes, that is right. So there are two main things. Two, the main template, which has all those things in it. All of those things in it. So the main template has got the PPP table, the lesson plan form and paragraph, the lesson plan, the paragraph, the teacher language, and the bibliography. That is all in one thing. It's about 15 pages-ish, like 12 to 15 pages, that main section. And then the materials template has got however many pages you include. So if you've got a lot of pictures for the warmer, you can stick them all there. If you've got cartoons, if you've got fun things, you can stick them all there. Then you've got your worksheets. So if you have gap fill worksheets or matching clauses or multiple choice or sentence completion, sentence creation, there are so many different kinds of worksheet and you must include the worksheet. It asks you in the assignment very specifically that you must include an actual task, a real exercise for the students to do in the controlled practice stage, during the controlled practice stage. Some people, I think, rush through the assignment and think that they can just say, they'll get the students to say a sentence. That's not enough. That isn't enough. You must include something, just something. And if you have allocated 15 minutes to the stage, to your controlled practice stage, for instance, or 10 minutes, and then you only give 2 questions, that's not enough. Think about, as I said in the beginning, think about how all the different pieces of the assignment relate to each other, and that it is one lesson that you are planning. And so just think about it logically. So the students now have 10 minutes and they're going to fill in a worksheet and there are 2 questions. They're going to go, what? Where's the rest of this? So just think about it. Imagine that you are actually teaching the lesson and go through the steps in your head. All right, thank you. Is this the second assignment following Unit 7 or the first one following Unit? This is the second assignment. It is L5B. So this is the second assignment. So there's L5A, which is the first assignment after Unit 5, and this is the one that comes after Unit 7 and is your grammar assignment. The Level 3 and the Level 5 each have a grammar assignment, and this is the grammar assignment for Level 5. All right. Do you recommend using an actual theme, or can you use just typical school scenarios? passing exam, doing homework. I think those are great. I have marked a lot of these assignments, thousands really. And I've seen some amazing ideas, like really such fun ones. And now obviously I can't remember any. Traveling is a fun one, weekend plans, or you planning a dance. You know, also like okay, Easter's gone, but you could have planned an Easter egg hunt. Okay, the kids are a bit older. They're high school kids. So it could be, but traveling is fun, or seeing a concert. I always think that's not that realistic, but I think that's because I live in South Africa. So seeing a concert of someone is, I mean, it's possible. It's not that likely. And people go, yeah, they'll watch someone in concert. I think that's not very likely. Think, oh, hang on, they live in Spain. It's pretty likely. So there are some fun ones, but school scenarios can also be fun. You know, a class trip or a school dance. So you can use your imagination. Just make sure it's real. You know, you're not meeting aliens and you're not winning the lottery. My family, I go, oh, it's another lottery one. And I'm so sick of it. But it's because it's not that likely. It's very unlikely. All right. Thank you. I hope that's helpful. But I mean, I've seen such fun ones. Sometimes there are quite a few sport ones. You know, people are really into soccer and they've got football, soccer kind of ones. And some people are really into concerts and music or movies. I saw a great movie one the other day about different genres of movies. So it was if you watch a horror movie, you will scream. So what on earth? Weird. I have no idea why I'm losing connection with my camera. Very sorry about that. It has never happened before. Okay. Here is it necessary to put images there? Because I just explained and I specifically put my material there and the objective. You don't have to put an image. You don't have to, you know, if you go, I've seen a lot where it's weather. People, you know, if it snows, I'll build a snowman. If it's sunny, we'll go to the beach. If it's raining, we'll take umbrellas. And so sometimes people have pictures of the rain or snow or the sun, which is fun. It's not necessary, but it's fun. And again, if you think these are second language English students, so maybe putting the images up is more useful than just saying sunny or windy or snowy, and that's part of the lesson as well, that they're learning extra vocabulary. So images can also be useful, and some people learn better with pictures than words. So images are always useful. You don't have to have an image. And if you just explain it, but the images of your worksheets must be there. You can't just explain it. And if you say, I'll give them some prompts or give them some ideas, that's not enough. You must actually give the prompts or ideas. And an example is also not enough. So like, I'll give the students prompts. For example, if it's raining, what will I do? And you need more than one. If you have an activity, you must have the whole activity, not just an example, not just a taster. You must provide the whole activity. They're not that long. You know, the controlled practice will probably only be about 10 minutes, and the 10, 12, 15 minutes, and the freer practice around 20 minutes. But you need to show what you actually will use, don't just hint at it, because we can't guess. The markers are marking how your lesson would play out, and we're not there in the classroom with you, and maybe you don't even have your own students yet. So this is like, it shows you what your lesson will be like. So we can, by reading your assignment, then we can imagine what your lesson will be like. That's why the more detail you put in, the better. And enjoy it. As I say, like some people, when they've got, say, soccer, football, I never know which is the right term to use. Anyway, and they go really into it, and they've got photos of their favorite stars, and they've got great activities where the students are in teams, and you can really, if you have a hobby of your own, include it and make it fun and think, will your students enjoy this? All right, thank you for your questions. All right, so we still actually have 15 minutes left. We've had quite a few questions, and there is still more time for 15 minutes more questions. So, if you have, all right, more about templates. In the lesson plan template, they already suggest that the duration of the presentation session would be about 13 minutes. So we leave it at that. I would. They've given you some information because it's good. So that's like, go from that. They have given you that. I mean, if you want to change it to 10, if you want it all in round numbers, you can. It's not drastic if you change it, but they're giving you a hint. It's a hint. It's like, it should be about 13. What do you think? So keep it. I'd leave it at that. Because they've given you some stuff, and the stuff they've given you is true. So accept that is true. All right. Thank you. Jane, thank you. Thanks, Eileen, for the good question. I think sometimes because of the model lesson and because they've given you some stuff, it can be a bit confusing. Okay, suggestion time for the, oh, wait. I was doing this one first. Suggestion range of time for the plenary. The plenary should be between 5 and 10 minutes. It's wrapping up. So sometimes people add an extra activity there, which is fine. Maybe they add in, some people have like a quick quiz afterwards, even an online kind of thing. You could have a quiz, or sometimes people add, I think it's a fun exercise, the first conditional chain story. Some people have in the freer practice stage, which is good. And sometimes people do a quick little one in the plenary, which is also good. So it depends. If you just getting the students to explain the grammar back to you, which is a good idea, it will be 5-10 minutes. Maybe it's 12 minutes because you've added something else in. So it's a range. It's not an exact range. And obviously, you say 12 minutes. In real life, it will probably not be 12 minutes. You don't have to say 12 to 14 minutes. Put the exact times down for your 60-minute lesson, and we accept that in real life it might not go that way, but you can plan. So you can plan that your lesson will go beautifully and fit exactly into your lovely timetable. We know in reality it probably won't. But you don't have to say 12 to 13 minutes. Like we know it's okay. If you say 12 minutes, we know, give or take. But make sure it is 60 minutes. A lot of people have their lessons are only 48 minutes or 93 minutes. So do that moment of maths. We all have a little calculator on the bottom bar of your computer. So you can use the calculator. Just check, how long is my lesson actually? Because a lot of lessons, I'd say only 60% of the lessons of the assignments are actually 60 minutes long. The other 40% are not. So take that moment to do the maths. Work out, is my lesson actually 60 minutes? All right. Good question here. In the grammar table in question 3, when asked to outline the forms, how can you check you got it right? Okay, so the forms are, for instance, I'm going to write one here. So we've got, and they're different variations. So here's one. If and I'll put it up as a comment, plus present simple, comma, don't forget the comma, plus will, plus, whoops, plus, I'm not the fastest typer, infinitive. So there are different ways of saying it. So that's one way. I'm going to put that up and put it there. So here is a form. Google, they are slightly different. So sometimes it says F plus present simple plus future simple. Sometimes it breaks it down into noun plus verb plus adjective plus. So you can break it down. Just make sure that you add the form and that it is in the present simple and in the future simple, that you don't have any past or present perfect or past continuous or present continuous. So there is a variety of correct answers. So, but make sure that an infinitive or base form of the verb. If you just say verb, it could be any kind of verb because there are lots of different kind of verbs. So say base verb or infinitive. But sometimes people also say will plus future simple, which is also fine. So there we go. Do you just need to put the clauses, i.e. present, future, etc.? Well, I've just given you the example. So you need to break it down a bit. You can break it down. That was a very vague breakdown, this one. The vague breakdown, you can break it down far more individual bits. Just make sure that you are talking about the right tenses. Okay. And again, Google will tell you, don't look at the AI version. Go and look at, if it says Oxford or Cambridge, look at that, because you can probably trust that they know. Just for example. So just make sure you look at something that is. There we go. The question be future simple. So the second clause is the future simple. So all three versions of your model sentence, so the present, the negative, and the question form of your model sentence all follow the same pattern. They're not exactly the same, but they follow the same pattern. So the if clause is always in the present tense, and the result clause is always in the first conditional in the future simple tense. So the question be future, only the second clause in the question would be the future simple. So there are two clauses. Just do this MFP. Go research your first conditional. Okay, very nice question. Put in subject or unnecessary. You can, you don't have to. It's fine either way. As long as this present simple, yes. Subject, yes. Will or won't in the negative, and infinitive or base form of the verb. Those are the important things. And that it's future simple, not past, not perfect. No past perfect, no continuouses. Just make sure that it's that. All right. And there are different versions, but as long as you haven't got anything wrong, it will be right. Does that make sense? But good. You can put in the subject. You don't have to. Nice question. Yeah, grammar, just whenever you teach grammar to students, you always need to know that you know what on earth you're talking about. And the two grammar assignments are not that complicated, but you really need to, like the L3A in the level 3 and the L5B in the level 5, you need to know, you need to understand it implicitly before you write your assignment, before you do it. Just know that you know. Know that you know. Zero conditional is when it's present tense. So if water boils, if water reaches 100 degrees, it boils. That is zero conditional. Second conditional is the one with the lottery. It has its own special kind of conditional for made up, unreal things. All those things, we admit they happen, but that's not the first conditional. It's the second conditional. So don't get confused with those. And it uses the past tense, so that's why it doesn't work. Because if you were to talk about things like lottery, you'd say, if I won the lottery, past tense, I would. People don't say, if I win the lottery, I will. They don't really say that because they know that it's probably not going to happen. And things like being invisible, also not a good topic because it's not likely to happen. And again, you would say, if I was invisible, I would. Those sentences can happen in the world and they are fun. And if I could grow wings, but you'd be talking in the past tense and it's different. So the tenses are different, which is why you can't use them. Use examples like that for this assignment. It's like a dead horse being flogged. I hear myself and I'm bored of it myself. So just to make sure that you pick something that is likely and possible. And there are lots of likely, possible, real things that are still fun. So don't think that only the impossible, unreal, made up things are the fun things. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with the kids that is, let's have a look at that. If plus present simple, comma, plus will plus verb, perfect. Very nice, perfect, lovely, great. That is 100%, very nice. Now, while we wait for extra, we still have 4 minutes. I'm going to put this up at the moment. When we are finished in a few minutes, we ask for you to, I'll go to that next slide and go like such. We still have a minute or two, and then the next slide was this. So after the webinar, in a couple of minutes time, if you don't mind taking a couple of minutes just to do the survey, answer the survey for us, I've got the link up for you, and you also can do the QR code as well. And just if this was helpful for you, and if there are any other topics you feel that you really would like to know about, and because we are always looking for ideas for different webinars. And as I said before, there are specifically the assignment webinars. There are lots of them. There are lots of them on the YouTube channel, and you can rewatch them. Thank you, Maz. 2 a.m. in Australia. Oh my word. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the middle of the night in the morning. So go and get some rest. Oh my goodness. You know, Australia, just all the other countries all seem to be like sort of, it could be morning, afternoon, and evening, but Australia, I have had online Australian students, and it's very hard to find times for Australians and New Zealanders if you are in the middle of the world, sort of. But thank you. 2 minutes. If there are any last burning questions, you still have a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's always such fun to answer questions and chat about this, and I hope that it's been useful and helpful. And if you are busy with this assignment, just go through it. I would make like a checklist and just tick each thing one by one, and make sure that everything in the lesson is all for the same lesson. Okay, in a model sentence such as, if it is raining tomorrow, we will read books at home. Is it overkill to put in tomorrow? I don't think it is. I think it might help just hinting that this is the future. But it could also be it could be confusing. Because it's like, if it's raining later, we'll read books at home, could also be fine. So sometimes people as I said earlier, put like a timetable. And it's not that this happens today and this happens tomorrow and this happens next month. It's just that this happens after the other thing. But I don't tomorrow. It's not a bad idea. It's, it's not either a good or bad idea. I think it's fine. It might help some students visualize that it is later and in the future. And perhaps because we are talking about future events and things that happen in the future, I think tomorrow could be helpful. So I don't think it's overkill. I think it could be helpful. As I said, you don't need it, but it can be helpful. Just make sure that you don't get stuck in it. So that's why. Last tiny piece of advice. So thank you so much for the great questions today. I hope if you have time off this weekend that you enjoy your time off and enjoy Easter. If you have kids, I hope that the Easter rabbit brings plenty of chocolates. So thank you. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. All right. Thanks. Bye.